Good morning, everyone. Thank you for watching. So I've got an update for you guys on this tropical disturbance we've got in the Gulf of Mexico. That actually is very early. It's April, and hurricane season is typically at its peak during August and September. So we are very far away from the peak of hurricane season, but we do have a little tropical disturbance that will be forming quickly in the Gulf of Mexico. So we're going to talk about this. We're going to break it all down on basically all the information that we have already. So let's get into the video. So what we're looking at here is we're looking at the GFS model for basically the outlook of the system is what I like to call it. So we're going to be going like every 5 hours because I believe this goes actually every 6 hours. So this skips every 6 hours to the next frame. And so we're going to start it out fresh at the beginning of this system. So this is what we're looking at right now. We're looking at like 3 areas of moisture and rainfall. That's going to be kind of sticking around for a few days. This one in Texas, this one right here along the coastline of northeastern Mexico and then southern Texas. I don't know why that didn't circle the whole way. I think we got it now, but that area, and then also one just south of Florida, maybe even on like Key West, Florida. But there's like 3 separate areas, and then they're all going to come together right around here in the middle. This is where you're going to have that tropical disturbance, and the path of it should probably be something like this. It's not going to move directly on a straight line. It'll probably bounce around out here for a few hours before skedaddling up the coastline, but we'll see where this thing goes. But just to show you guys the kind of the setup for this, and where each part of it is at the moment, and then how they're going to come together. So that's what we're going to be looking at in this update. So this is moments before the storm finally takes shape. This is 8 p.m. I believe this. I think this might be even. This might be. I think this is the day after Easter. So this is your Monday night, and you're finally starting to see this thing start taking shape, and it finally forms its own low pressure system. So it has a mind of its own, and it starts its journey. So by 2 a.m., you've got a very strong band of rain and thunderstorms that's going to be producing inches of rain. This is pink showing up here. I mean, if we had hours of this straight, pink here showing up, this would be like, I don't know, 24 inches of rain could fall with this. But that's just if, if you had a rate of like 10 inches of rain per, I mean, I'm just joking, but like, like if you had extreme heavy rainfall like what's showing up here with the pink here, if you had that steadily falling for hours, you could get rainfall totals over 10 inches. But, I don't think we're going to see, like 6 hours plus of straight, like 3-inch per hour rates of rainfall. But this is definitely going to start rotating fast. Probably by midday Tuesday, this is when you'll start seeing that rotation. I notice this is rotating in a counterclockwise direction, so it does not move the way a clock would. It moves the opposite way, how hurricanes do. And then this also creeps toward Florida. So now the OZ from this morning was saying that it was actually going to ride the coastline, kind of take a little jump here for like a landfall in Alabama and Mississippi, but then dives back down, goes through Florida, then rides up the coastline. But this one, the 6C, wants it to start out just off the coast of Texas and Louisiana. It's going to ride through the heart of the Gulf of Mexico and then ride up the coastline, cutting through upstate Florida. So we're going to see if what it would look like if this happened. And it gets very disorganized as it appears to make a landfall in Florida, Georgia, and Alabama. So let's see. I mean, it still has this little not even an eye. It's just it's a huge bag of thunderstorms, heavy rainfall, and some gusty winds that could be relatively damaging, but not too bad. But it's very big. It's all squashed and mixed up. It is not organized. It really, after it makes landfall, it just gets really disorganized. But then it tries to kind of tighten up again, and you can see some more energy with that rainfall right here off the coast of North Carolina. But it's just not going to make it, and there's not enough warm air to fuel it, and there's not enough warm moisture, so it rides into the northeast. So that's pretty much it for the southeast. So let's go to the northeast and see what you guys are going to be looking at here. So you can see this is already by like I don't even know. I don't even know what day of the month or what day of the week it would be, but this is the 16th and it's finally over. But you can see that it takes a very long time for this thing to get out, and it's going to arrive. It's looking like it's going to arrive in the northeast probably or in the morning of the 15th. But there's no doubt in my mind that it's not going to make it to the northeast. It's just a matter of how strong it's going to be. I think it's really going to be disorganized once it makes it to the northeast. So what's probably going to happen is you'll have this huge swath of like, I don't know, a ton of rainfall, and it's just going to come in as a tropical rainstorm, but it's going to come in as like a line almost. It's going to be so disorganized, it's not going to look anything like how a normal hurricane would look like. It's just going to be a line of precipitation that's just going to move into the northeast and then out of it into Canada. So it's going to be a very weird system, but it definitely could form a system strong enough to be named. So I don't know exactly which name this would get. I know it would be the first one on the Atlantic hurricane name list, but this would definitely get named if it forms something strong enough. Once it starts getting a lot of that once it starts riding over that warm waters in the Gulf of Mexico, that's the point where it could be named, but there's still a chance that it could not be named. But I just want to show you guys that this will eventually make it to the northeast, and it could bring some impacts, but minor flooding at most, and some relatively gusty winds before this moves out, and then by the 16th, it's over. But this one's looking like it'll be a slow mover because it's gonna take a few days to make it to the northeast and then get out of it. So I forgot what the timing was. It was like probably like late night, the 10th. So late night Monday into the 16th is when that's going to be like that time frame for the system. Obviously, it's not going to have a long way to go because it's going to start out almost directly on the coastline of the U.S., and then it's just going to move into the northeast and ride up the coastline. But it will definitely be a slow mover. So that's basically just something that we're going to continue watching and see if we're going to get any minor tweaks with that. And then we're going to look at what the Euro wants to say about this. So obviously the European model sometimes agrees with the GFS or says something, completely different. And it's looking like it will agree with the GFS. Timing, not really. You can see it's not going. Now the Euro wants to show that the timing for the system is going to be around 5 a.m. on the 12th. So you're thinking that this is like Wednesday or Thursday. I think this is Wednesday. It's like early morning Wednesday. And then it's so slow moving that it literally just sits in the Gulf of Mexico. It doesn't do anything. It's just rotating. And then finally takes a jump at the coastline of Florida, Mississippi, and Alabama. And will it make it all the way inland? It will. And it will ride up the coast from there. So the GFS does not want it to make a landfall like in the deep southeast, but go kind of through Florida and then ride almost directly north. It's going to kind of take a turn here. So it's going to form right around here off the coast of Texas and Louisiana, ride through Florida, the state of Florida, and then move up into the northeast. Okay? That's the GFS. But with the Euro says something different. The Euro with the timing and the path of this thing is a bit different. The timing is about a day off from the GFS, and the path of this wants it to form a lot, a lot more far away from the coastline. Take a jump north at Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida, in upstate Florida, and then continue moving into the northeast. They both want the system to move into the northeast. I think we're past the idea that it's going to go into the northeast. I think we're almost completely positive that this will move into the northeast. We just don't know exactly the timing, the precise timing, and the exact path of this thing. So once this gets named, or if it will get named, I think that's when we'll start, getting a lot more detail and a better breakdown on this. So we'll be able to look at the kind of cone um, from the National Hurricane Center if this gets named, and we'll be able to see what they predict the path of this thing to be. And we'll kind of just ride along with it and see what the changes will be in the forecast for this. But it's looking like that something could get stirred up right here in the Gulf. So let me clear my screen so I can play through the rest of this, and we can move to the northeast. But here it is. It's right here. It's still trying to get out of the Carolinas, and it does. And then here's that little secondary, like, the secondary strengthening for the system just off the coast of North Carolina. I wasn't sure if this was actually this system after it, because this is very far out. This is 210 hours, and the GFS did not go nearly as far out for the duration of this system as the Euro did. So I'm kind of losing track here. But this is still the same system here. Then there is that brief strengthening off the coast. And what's weird with this is it wants it to just bail on the northeast and then run out to sea, which is very odd because most storms, what they'll do is they'll try and find the warmest water. But, just going out to the east is not really it's not what a hurricane kind of does. Most hurricanes ride the coastline until they die out. But this one really just wants it to bail on the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. So I do not think that the Euro does not think and does not want to show that this system is going to make it into the Northeast. But the GFS does. So that's where we have to make a decision. Now, the decision doesn't have to be made today. It could be made tomorrow. It could be made Easter. But a little bit after that is too late. We have to decide which model to agree with if the Euro still does not like the idea of making it to the mid-Atlantic, places like New Jersey, Long Island, New York City, Pennsylvania, all of those areas. But we have to make a decision on which model to believe. They're both different, but the main difference is basically the path and the timing. Those are the two main differences. So now we're going to look at the wind energy with this. So we've broken down kind of the outlook of this. So let me switch it to the southeast here, so we don't have to look at the entire country. So now we're going to break down how strong the models want it to get. So we're going to have to, go all ahead, go ahead into the day the storm forms, which would be the 11th. So 2 a.m. the 11th. Then here, you finally have that rotation start forming, and then you're getting an eye that could possibly form here. Look how deep this is. This is like 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts that's right in the middle of this system. That's pretty good. That is almost hurricane. That's almost like tropical storm force wind gusts. That is very strong wind energy, which is a good sign for hurricanes that want to get strong. So if you're a person who likes hurricanes, that's a good sign. But if you're looking for a weaker hurricane, that's not a good sign because this is a lot of energy showing here. So this is like This is like 8 p.m. on 12th, and you're still seeing that eye, not the eye, but like that kind of center of the storm. It's still very strong, and it's continuing on its path that the GFS wants it to, and then it kind of just breaks apart and it falls apart, and then that rides into the northeast. So it'll definitely be most organized right in the Gulf of Mexico. So like right in here is where that's the potential for it to be strong enough to be named. That's where it's going to be at the time if it were to get named. But then once it moves into a northeast, it's not going to have any organization with it. I mean, we could switch it to the northeast, but I really think that there's no point in looking at it because look at this. This is all over the place. You don't even see anything like a hurricane. So it's going to be very disorganized, not anything like, what a normal kind of tropical system would look like, but, it's definitely going to try and do something. So we're now going to move on and look at basically what the max wind gust forecast looks like for this. So we took a look, we broke down every part of the system except, how strong those winds are going to get. We looked at the path, the timing, the energy, and basically just, all of that combined. But now we're going to look at how strong those winds are going to get. And you can see that we're going to switch it ahead to about 102 hours out. And you can see that you've got winds gusting up to 30 miles an hour. That's like right where the storm is going to start forming. And you can see they get stronger. And this moves with the storm. So this yellow here, this is about 40 to 45 mile an hour max wind gusts. That's pretty strong. That's approaching tropical storm force wind gusts. Actually, it might be. I think the cutoff might be 37 miles an hour. But you can see that you've got widespread wind gusts over 35 miles an hour just off the coast of Florida. And this will continue moving with this system. And look at all of Florida gusting to 20, 30, maybe even 35 miles an hour. But this will definitely bring some gusty conditions, heavy rainfall, and I mean, here it is. I mean, this is showing that it's going to be pretty strong. I mean, this is weird. Now this wind gust forecast from the Euro is now showing a completely different idea from the same model. This is still the European model. The European model wanted this to go into the northeast and then bail out to sea. This one wants it to go right through Florida and then stick around right off the coast of eastern Florida. They're completely different. So this is very strange. I don't know what is happening here with the European model, but this is just telling me to believe and put my faith in the GFS model. But, we really gotta see some better info on this probably tomorrow or tonight. But I mean, this is very odd looking. So we really got to look at basically everything that's going to be around this system. So we just looked at the max wind gust forecast. We covered everything, all the details about this system. But let's see what's going to be happening around it. So let's play through this little, like this model run of basically the wind energy for the tropics. Now here you go. This is your system, and then it goes up the coastline. But then you don't see anything else happening here. You do get another one on the backside of this that could form. I don't know why I'm saying this could form. It's just another piece of energy that could definitely try and do something. So anyways, there's a lot of energy in the Gulf and pretty much everywhere around it, but there's nothing that's really good enough to, form something, if you want to put it that way. So there's not much organization out here. There's not much action. It's just a bunch of preparation for the main part of hurricane season, which is in a few months. So that's going to wrap the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, like, share, comment, and subscribe if not subscribed to the channel. We'll see you guys in the next update. So we'll continue watching the tropics, especially this system, and I'll give you guys the latest info in the next update.